The other thing I did was I rigged up a machinist clamp on my broken handle over there on the quick change gearbox, so that can't fall out on me. I didn't like the tip on this high-speed steel cutter, and I was going to grind it, and then I don't know how I missed it, but it's actually not even a 60 degrees. So if I had ended up cutting threads with this successfully, they wouldn't fit more than likely. I think when I did it real quick with the small part, but I could see that that's not a 60 degree on there. So what I found was I found this insert right here, and this insert's a perfect fit. That's definitely a 60 degree insert, and that gives more penetration into this shallow groove too, so it'll be a finer point. So hopefully that'll work. Alright, well, I was just playing around with this thing, trying to practice threading, and have come to the disheartening conclusion that there's something still very wrong with this lathe, because it doesn't engage immediately when I flip the lever. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And the problem with that is that that slight delay of when it's going to decide to engage that lead screw is throwing off my alignment so bad that I can't make 3 consecutive passes in the same groove without it screwing up. So I think what I'm going to do is just to illustrate and prove to myself that that is in fact what's going on here. I'm going to I'm going to set the threads per inch to something very low, so I have a very exaggerated cut on this blank area right here, and I'm not going to use any oil or anything so that I can clearly see the line that this makes. But that's not good, because that means the only way I'm going to be able to thread with this lathe is either wire the motor, if possible, to reverse direction. Okay, and then I'd have to actually put the motor in reverse and back the lathe up. I don't like the idea of that because this chuck threads on, and it's never a good idea to have that kind of a situation, because if you inadvertently were to hit the drum switch in the wrong direction, especially if it like you had just shut it off and it was spinning down, that's just a sure recipe for disaster, to have that chuck come flying off, and that chuck's heavy. So that's not a good idea. And then the other alternative would be if I had a threading dial. I actually have a threading dial that somebody sent me. It's actually off of a larger Hendy, and I was going to adapt it to use it on my Hendy, but I'm thinking now I could check. It might, by some stroke of luck, actually be a perfect fit for this lathe's lead screw and apron. The problem is there's no hole on the side here for it. So they never intended to use a threading dial on this lathe. They intended for you to be able to do what I've been attempting to do and failing at. So that's not good. So I think what I'll do is I'll let's see. Slow this down real slow, see what ends up happening here. Okay, so there's the lead screw. I'm going to push the lever down. Now, you see that delay? And then I'll flip it back. I'm going to wait till the line comes back around. Up. Reverse direction immediately. Down. Delay. You see that delay, that lag in changing directions? That, I think, is what's screwing me up. Alright, so I think I'm at 5 threads per inch. And I've got this engaged, and I've got this ready to make a shallow cut. Alright, now I'm going to stop the lathe right there. I'm going to pull the lever up. And of course it won't pull up in that position. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick the lathe on while pulling up on this so that I can immediately get it to go in. Oh crap. What the hell's going on here? Don't know why, but it was pretty hard to get that to go in. Alright, back. Ah, son of a... I was pushed up against the shoulder and didn't realize it. So much so that it actually was enough force to snap the tip right off of this thing. Carbide's brittle, huh? Alright, so I just rotated the tip around to an unbroken corner. I've got the lever up. I'm going to throw this in. Yeah, God, it's like full revolution before it actually engaged. That's actually pretty good right there. I'm not cutting, but it's lined right up with that slot. Does it consistently go back in on the way forward? It does. Well, that's 2 times in a row. It must be designed to be able to handle that delay, compensate for it some other way. Of course, it's not going to line up with the threads going back because that would be like a left-hand thread, I guess. It's stuck a little bit there. Let's see if that screws it up. Still seems good. Well, that seemed like a long delay there. Still seems like it's on target. Alright, maybe I'm just nuts. Yeah, it's 5 threads per inch. Let me get some more freely machining steel and try this again. Well, it's not very efficient because this was a full 2-inch diameter piece, so I didn't want to use it, but it certainly is free machining steel. That's a pretty decent finish on there, and it's making chips nicely. It's not like that other stuff I was dealing with. That other stuff was almost like cast iron. The way it looked after you peeled out the outer layer. So anyways, this is a 25 thousandths cut. I didn't set my stop, so I'm just kind of shutting the lathe off so I don't run up against that. Let's just, for giggles, see if I can do a 50 thousandths depth of cut. The lathe should be rigid enough to handle it. The cutter should be able to handle it. I think I might want to slow the lathe down though, but this is the slowest speed I can get without back gear. Oh, what the hell, it's going to be angry at me, but let's see what happens. Besides, it makes for a good video. My flat leather belt is slipping. That's going to be the limiting factor here. It was actually slipping a little bit on the 25 thousandths cut before it stalled out, so I tightened it some. But I really don't want to overstress this belt. Yeah, I don't know how much tighter I can go on that belt before it just snaps. I'll give the tightening screw on the belt here one little turn. That's a half turn. Now it's not the motor being undersized, it's the leather belt that's slipping. Probably want to back up off that chip. Yeah, give it a running start, so to speak. Come off it completely and give it a running start. Yeah, I'm just going to take a lighter cut. I don't want to push it. If I snap that leather belt, then I'm going to regret it. So that was 50 thousandths that I tried. Let's try 40 thousandths cut. So I'm just going to do 25 thousandths. Go back to a 25 thousandths cut just to clean this up. Well, that's an interesting chip. I ain't touching that shit. Like I made a spring. I wonder if something has happened to the geometry of that cutting tip that's causing this, because all of a sudden now, I could have sworn it was a 35 thousandths cut I just tried to take again when I just took a 40 and it was okay. Oh, you know what I just realized? I'm still square. I still got the tool post at square for when I was threading. And this operation would probably be more conducive to a I have either destroyed the tip of this carbide cutter, or it really doesn't like this angle. Can't tell which. Oh yeah. I made that cutter go bye-bye. Time for lunch. Well, I know I said that I broke this tip on this cutter, but the leading edge there apparently is still cutting. But I did find that when I put it back to the 90-degree square to the chuck, that actually seems to be cutting better. So I'm going to stick with that. It seems like maybe just a little bit of an angle would help. Yeah, that cutter is toast. Alright, I put it in back gear. This is the highest speed in back gear. And I'm going to try and take a heavy cut again. So this would be Alright, let's see if we can't take that 50 thousandths cut. So much fun messing around with these cuts. I forgot to double check and make sure I'm not going too small here. Oh, that's like just under right there. Dummy. 1.492. Alright. I wanted to take a finish cut before I did that. I think I'll just take the nose of this off. I probably want a little groove to finish my threading into.
1.4955.
4.5 thousandths under. That last tiny cut, I guess I didn't need to take. All right. Okay. Squared my tool post. Checked my center height. That's good. I'm set. Quick change gearbox. 16 threads per inch. I'm in back gear, lowest speed. So I set my stop. My threading stop. All right. Half nuts engaged. I guess I could bring it a little bit closer before I engage the half nut, huh? How about there? Well, they're threads.